Hey, what's up guys? Houston here. And for those of you just finding my YouTube channel, welcome. Please remember to hit that subscribe button and that bell. And for those of you that's been following me and supporting me, salute. Because I know that you guys really appreciate the information. Now, today's video, we're going to be talking about, better yet, I want to ask you the question. If you had the opportunity, okay, if you had the opportunity to be able to raise up to $40,000 for your first home, okay, whether it's a single family or multi-family, would you be able to take advantage of it? Well, today's video, we're actually going to break the numbers down, and I'm going to show you some possible resources that can actually help you raise up to $40,000 for your first home, or we got another one, it's possibly an investment property as well. So it depends on how you look at it. All right. So right now in the news, they're talking about this Biden $25,000, right, for home assistance. Okay. And so the breakdown is $20,000 for your down payment and closing costs, and then he's wanting to give another $5,000 for non-whites. Okay. So if you're black, Hispanic, Asians and everything, he want to give another $5,000. Okay, so that's where the $25,000. Now, this FG means first time, first generation. So neither my father or mother owned a home, right? So because they never owned a home, I would qualify for this. Or say that my mother's deceased or whatever, then and she still never had a property, or she had a property, but the property no longer in the family's name, you still qualify, okay? Or even if my mother was living and she lost the property, then you still qualify. So that doesn't exempt you from being able to get qualified for this $20,000 plus the $5,000, okay? So that doesn't exempt you from that. Now, here's something I want to break down to you, understanding. There's a new player that's wanting to help you, and so we're going to talk about them as well. Now, in terms of what's happening in the market, like on the West Coast, down in Texas and Florida and stuff, like home prices are skyrocketing, and I'm talking about like a $300,000 skyrocket, right? Well, in California, even where I stay at, like where I invested in my property over 10 years ago, when I bought it for less than $2, now you can't buy that property for under $450, right? So again, it's just because of things like that. But in terms of understanding, well, how much income do you have to make to buy a $300,000 home? Well, to buy a $300,000 home, you need about $45,000 income, okay? So if you're an independent contractor and stuff like that, you, again, when I tell you to set up the corporation, have the money paid to the corporation, and then having yourself pay the salary through the corporations to minimize your taxes, that way you can get an income, that way you can still get a tax refund, but at the same time using leverage to be able to help put you in a position to where you're able to afford a house, okay? So that's the reason. But like I said, average homes right now for a lot of people is about $300,000 in a decent community, that is. That's in a decent community, all right? So now, here, let's look at this and what's going on. Like, where would I get the money from? Say that Biden they did pass the bill and they gave us the $25,000. Okay, where's the other $15,000? Okay, well, you have the FHA. The FHA, they have it's called the FHA Home. It's called My Home. It's called My Home Assistance Program. Okay, and it's up to $11,000. Okay. So it's up to $11,000. Now people say, well, can I have both? Well, again, yes, you can. It just depends on the type of loan it is. the type of program it is, I should say. All right. So don't think that, well, if I get qualified for one, I can't qualify for the other. And that's not true. You actually can get combined. Now, there are nonprofits out there. Okay. So you got nonprofits, all right, where you have to go through their programs for home ownership and stuff like that. And a lot of nonprofits, they would give you like up to $10,000. So if you qualify for the $25,000 and you go through the program, that's what, $35,000 right there. Okay, so don't think that it's impossible for you to be able to get a large enough down payment to cover not only the down payment but the closing costs, and then plus have enough money to do other things as you move into the property. Okay, now here's something that a lot of people miss out on that I can tell you about. Okay, you have a local home owners assistance program. Your city and state, they have these type of programs, okay? And these programs are set up to be able to help you with your down payment and closing costs and stuff like that. Like I said, don't think because if the federal government gives you money, then you don't qualify for the state and local. That's not true. Again, make sure that when you're trying to get funding and stuff, you talk with an educated realtor that really knows about these programs that can be able to help you get qualified for the most amount of money as you can, okay? Because again, housing cost is expensive. It's very expensive, okay? Now here's one, like if you were planning on becoming a real estate investor, all right? And this is very important, especially if you're planning on becoming a real estate investor, okay? HUD has dollar homes, okay? HUD has dollar homes, all right? Plus, they help you get qualified for the loan to rehab. And so those properties can go from 1 unit up to 4 units, all right? So if you really wanting to get into real estate investing, real estate rehabbing and stuff like that, then this is definitely one of those programs that you want to check out. It's called Dollar Homes, okay? Especially if you want to become a real estate investor or a developer, okay? So don't think that there's not a program out there. As a matter of fact, even your local cities and states, they have the Dollar Home program as well, where they agree to let you have the property for $1, but they give you a certain amount of time where you have to have the property rehabbed, okay? So just keep that in mind. Now, some of the properties you are able to just buy them, fix them up, and resell them. And some of them you actually have to stay in. The maximum amount of time, if you're doing FHA, the maximum amount of time that you have to stay in a property is 2 years. Okay? But again, talking about the funding for it and stuff like that, like I said, with the Dollar Home programs, again, check with your local city and states as well, so you get the property through the government. You can qualify for a HUD loan or a 2.0, I think it's called a 203 loan, to be able to do the rehab and stuff. And then if you're able to qualify for that Biden program, because that should not disqualify you because you have a Dollar Home, all right? So that should, because you still qualify for a first-time home buyers program. You see what I'm saying? So there are resources for you, okay? Now here's a big one that most people are missing out on, okay? And this is BOFA, Bank of America. And right now, Bank of America wanting to give $17,500, okay? So they're talking about $10,000 down, and then they doing the $7,500 closing, okay? Now here's the thing about it. The reason that I like this program, because you don't have to be a first-time home buyer for the Bank of America program, okay? So where people are paying rent and stuff, if they can show the ability that they can cover, pay a mortgage and stuff, then Bank of America is willing to work with them to help them get into a home, okay? It's just that you can afford to make a payment. Like people are paying like $2,000 month in rent and stuff like that, and they're like, wait a minute, if I can help you get into a home and you're still paying the same amount, then it'd probably be much easier because you're building up equity and also opportunity to build up a little wealth, right? So that's how they're looking at this program. But the good part about this program, again, is that you don't have to be a first-time home buyer. So if you went through a foreclosure, or you went through a bankruptcy or whatever, just long as, like with FHA, long as the bankruptcy is past 2 years. But like I said, long as you can demonstrate that you actually can afford a mortgage, like I said, if you're already paying $1,500, $2,000 a month in rent, then obviously you're able to make your payment. And the good thing about it, like with a FHA, some of the rules that they change is like they consider all the income in the household, okay? So make sure that when you're dealing with like getting a loan, especially from the government and stuff, that they are considering all the income in the household. So you may have a child that you're receiving child support for, or you may have a disabled relative that you're taking care of, you know, but you have income as well. So they consider all the income in the household. So don't think, well, they're just going to go off of my income. No. It's not like that anymore. You actually, if you're supporting somebody in the household and they have an income, you can include. So if you adopted a child or you're a foster parent and stuff like that, again, that income plus your regular income can be included in order to help you get qualified for a mortgage and stuff. And like I said, with the Bank of America, again, the reason that I like it is because you don't have to be a first-time home buyer. Okay, so you can have a previous home, long as you own the home over 2 years, then you still can qualify for this home, because you may have your home and then you rent that home out and you have enough income from that, plus you have your income from your job. That way you can buy your next property, all right? So that's the reason I tell you all, don't think because you only have just this one income that you're going to get disqualified. No, they do look at all the income in the household, okay? So if you're in a household with relatives and stuff and you all are dependent on one another, you all still can help qualify for a mortgage, all right? So just don't think that, well, it's just me and I can't. No. Now here's something that I want to share with you all that's very important. When you're going to get a FHA loan, like when you're rebuilding your credit and everything, when you add AUs, okay, authorized users, okay, because it temporarily boosts up the credit, FHA will ask you to remove those AUs, okay? So that's the thing about it. It's okay if you're going to be using these AUs to boost up the credit to get qualified for like credit cards or a car loan and stuff like that. But when you're trying to get a mortgage, especially through the government, you're going to have to remove these AUs off of the credit, all right? Now also, just keep in mind your DTI, your debt to income ratio. That's also important. So making sure that, like, if you're making, just say you're making $35,000, okay, and say that you're bringing home, say, about $2,700, all right. Well, you want to make sure, like, if you have a car payment and stuff, that you want to make sure that your car payment ain't $1,500, right? You don't want that to happen, all right. So make sure that you pay attention to your debt to income ratio, and then if you're building your credit, making sure that when you're applying for the FHA loan, make sure that you have those authorized users removed, okay? So this is Houston with three-way funding. I just wanted to give you all some good news, so now you know it is possible. Oh, there is one more thing. When you're actually buying a house from a developer or a seller, sometimes you can ask them to pay up to $7,500 in closing costs, sometimes more, just depends on the type of home, right? So if they're willing to pay the closing costs plus you qualify for the first-time home buyers, as you can see, again, you have enough money for closing costs and down payment, all right, and a plus money to move with. So don't think it's impossible for you to own a home. It's just all in a matter of who you're dealing with and what questions to ask to make sure they're in it to help you. So this is Houston with Three-Way Funding. Again, I appreciate for all of you all that support me, and salute to my veterans out there that's been working with me, checking out my videos, commenting and stuff like that. I really appreciate it. So this is Houston with Three-Way Funding. Please don't forget to comment, like, and subscribe. Thank you.